This video contains subject matter that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are the type to require a warning throughout a video or show, let this message serve as your warning. This channel discusses the harsh reality of true crime. If this warning is not sufficient for you, consider a different genre and unsubscribe from my channel immediately. It doesn't hurt quite as much as it did before, so still a little bit frustrated that I'm still having to wear this stupid neck thing just to hold my head up so it doesn't hurt. But at least it doesn't hurt as much, so that's good. That's good. All right. And it's hard to hear because I have to put it so high above. Yeah, the Blazers lost today against the Celtics. It was crazy, though, because the Celtics were just hitting shots they normally don't shoot that well like that. And they were up by 24 points. And then we came all the way back and got a 2-point lead in the fourth quarter, but just couldn't hold them off. I mean, it was ridiculous how many shots they made. It was just luck. You know, it was crazy. But anyways, we made a game of it. Yusuf Nurkic, the guy that broke his leg last year that I showed you guys, he scored 30 points. I mean, he looks so good, it's crazy. It's like he's better now than before he broke his leg. That just shows you how hard that guy worked to come back. But yeah. So anyways, I just went online, looked up some Oklahoma State cold cases, and then it turns out two of them that I'm looking at, as I was looking at them, they were on an IDTV Discovery sort of series kind of thing, but neither of them are, you don't see them at all out there. One of them is a little bigger, but still nobody's talking about them, and it's kind of similar. And by the way, I don't have the super chats. Won't be making any noise on this one. So thank you, Claudia Neubauer, there. All right. So you guys ready to get going? All right. Okay, so the first one we'll be talking about had very little information out there. It is the case of Nola Baldwin. As a matter of fact, I could only find one newspaper article about it. And I've only got 3, but 2 of them have a lot more information. So this is way after the fact here. I mean, she went missing on April 1st is when she went missing, but this first article says, a man arrested in Louisiana on a stolen vehicle charge on Wednesday also is being investigated in an Oklahoma kidnapping. Gerald Floyd Burns was arrested without incident at Fontainebleau, I don't know what that word is, State Park in St. Tammany Parish Wednesday morning, FBI agent Neil Gallagher said in a news release. He was wanted on 1 count of transporting a stolen car across state lines. However, he was also being investigated in the disappearance of Nola Baldwin, 32, of Collinsville, Oklahoma. The woman had picked up pizza at a restaurant near her home on April 1st and has not been seen since. She had been driving a four-door red Dodge Spirit with Oklahoma license plate INV 966. The car is still missing. The FBI said the day after Baldwin disappeared, a stolen car was recovered near the pizza restaurant by Collinsville police. That is the vehicle that Burns is charged with illegally transporting. So it's almost like maybe they think he got out of that vehicle and then he went and kidnapped her. Thanks, Katie, too. This is her right here, by the way. Yeah, so let me read you the blurb that was on the website here. So, on April 1st, 1994, 32-year-old Nola Baldwin left her residence in Collinsville, Oklahoma, to get pizza for her children from a pizzeria in Collinsville. She was never heard from again after leaving her residence. On April 22nd, so this article states that they did find the car. 1994, Miss Baldwin's vehicle, a 1992 red Dodge Spirit, was located submerged in a pond at 12600 North Harvard in North Tulsa County. Miss Baldwin's deceased body was found inside the car after being pulled from the pond. The medical examiner's office ruled the death a homicide. Okay, so there must be something really obvious that happened to her, and let me get to the so I think this is where she lived, right here. At this house right there. It looks like it's almost abandoned at this point. This is 1994 when she lived there. And then there's a Collinsville. Let's see. Let me find a pizzeria in Collinsville. There's a few of them that seem kind of obvious. Right there. I had already looked it up earlier. Yeah. So I think this little town of Collinsville here, she went to a pizzeria. So I'm assuming one of these was probably there in 1994. So all she did was just drive this little short distance to one of these pizzerias, hell, maybe even that first one there. And in that short amount of time, she was kidnapped and murdered. And then the car was found located at that address that was given. And this is a pond. This is the address right here. And I'm assuming that this is the pond because I don't really see any other ponds in the area. Okay, but the pin for that address ends up being right in this spot. So the car apparently was found submerged in the water here, and it was ruled a homicide. So that's kind of strange, right? I mean, see, this is one of those ones that's the only bit of information there is on it. There is absolutely nothing. And it seems like one that would be a little bit more interesting to people to get more information on, what was the circumstances of her life at that point. Did she have a boyfriend, ex-boyfriend? Was it an assault? She was submerged in the water, so probably not a very good likelihood of finding some DNA. Yeah. I'm just trying to read the comments. No, I didn't. See, this is that same idiot that sends me emails. I've explained why. I do most of my videos on women that are missing for a particular reason, because they're more vulnerable. Okay? And this happens to them way more often. Okay? And that's what I'm interested in doing. Sometimes I do cases with guys in it, but Tommy's one of those trolls that shows up. And it sends me emails like some whack job stalker. He's an absolute idiot. Okay, so that's what that guy does. He sends emails to me going, "Hey, Gray, are you gonna cover?" You know, and it's just he's a troll. So next time he makes a comment, just immediately remove him. Okay, thanks. Yeah. And I always keep telling him, why don't you start your own channel, you idiot? And cover only guys that get abducted and murdered, okay? Try doing that. Right. There's a lot of missing persons cases. Here's the difference is, most of the time when guys are killed, it's some kind of a gang or some sort of, beef sort of deal. A lot of times when women are missing, it's because some serial killer, stalker type freak, a little bit like Tommy there, goes out and kills women. Okay, so that's where the difference is. That's why I'm saying they're more vulnerable. Okay. All right, so that's all the information that I have on that case. Okay, and on that case that I just covered, all we know is that she was at her home right here in Collinsville and went to a pizza joint, to go get some pizza, and never made it home. And then they find her car in a pond right here, and she was murdered. It was a homicide. She didn't kill herself. Yeah. I'd say that's a bit far. What do you mean? What's a bit far? I don't get what you're saying. The distance from where the car was parked to the pizzeria? I don't know if she ate pizza or not. There's no other information on the case. That was the only article I could find, was actually one that was 2 weeks later, just before the car was found. Let's see. Okay. All right, moving on to the next one. And don't forget, this is the new month now. We got to keep building up for the end of the month. Okay? I turned off the sound so it doesn't interrupt the show, so I can go over these cases. All right, so now I'm moving on to the 1998. Well, I actually might do there's a 1973 Veda Woodson. Okay, and let me sort this a little bit. Yeah, and this one's also on the show that's on IDTV. Let me get. All right, Sperry mother found slain on hill in North Tulsa. Hey, thanks, Melissa. Jessica Schubach, thank you. The body of a 38-year-old Sperry mother of 3 who had been the object of a widespread search for 10 hours was found Thursday on a weed-covered hill in North Tulsa, where she apparently had been strangled with a man's cotton undershirt. It turns out, well, later on they said it was a painter's cloth. More than 30 police officers and volunteers had been searching for the victim, Mrs. Veda Woodson, after her car was found with a window smashed and a motor running about 2 a.m. Officers said she had left her job with a maintenance crew at the Tulsa First National Bank at about an hour before the car was found by a passerby. I mean, that part sort of reminds me of the Tina Losser a little bit. You know, working at a bank, and has nothing to do with it, but. Alright, so she worked at a bank. I think it's one of these buildings right here. At the time, I'm not sure it's still called that now, but First National Bank was right here in this general area. And then she took Cincinnati Avenue from work. And, you know, I don't know what it looked like in 1993 out here. Maybe well, still pretty packed in. That was 1995. But somewhere along here, I wasn't able to locate the spot behind the lady that was talking in one of the scenes. It looked like it might have been sort of around in this area, but I don't think it was, because there was a power line on one side. And hey, thanks, Michelle Nicholas. More than 30 police officers and volunteers had been searching for victim Mrs. Veda Woodson after her car was found with a window smashed. And I actually have a picture that I got from the... See that right there? Look at her whole side window was smashed in on that vehicle right there. The motor was running. About 2 a.m., officers said she had left her job with the maintenance crew at the Tulsa First National Bank about an hour before the car was found by a passerby. Hey, thank you, Zozo. Her body was completely nude, and we are assuming she was strangled. Alright, so she was raped and strangled. Frank Thurman, chief criminal deputy in the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office, said, "We don't know for sure." See, this kind of stuff, like both of these cases that I'm talking about right now, rarely happen to guys. Okay? So that's why they don't pop up. Okay, like this case right here, you don't see a guy driving down the highway, they run out of gas, or their car broke down, actually. Her car didn't run out of gas, it broke down. And you don't see them all of a sudden show up naked on a hill. Okay, so that's why I'm covering these, because it's I think women are just way more vulnerable in general. Okay? And if you don't agree with that, then I'm sorry. It sucks that I have to explain it to idiots like that Tommy guy that shows up. Thurman said the body was found by searchers on Cincinnati Hill on an area. The weeds are about 2 feet high. The spot is just off of a North Tulsa street and is within a mile of Miss Woodson's home at Sperry. She hadn't been... Let me see where Sperry is here. Hold on. Yeah, so she lives in this little town right here. I don't know exactly where. I couldn't find her anywhere because it's so old. Alright, so she was heading home, and you can see everything lines up perfectly. She leaves town here on Cincinnati, just like this. And then at some point, her transmission, I think, broke down, or something like that. And then she ends up being found. Her body was found in this area over here. That's what the address was that was given to me in an article. And then some of her clothing was found right here. So it's almost like, see, her body was taken up here, but the clothing, I think, was thrown out on the way back home by somebody. You know, it's not like you're going to throw it's, you know how people start discarding things, a little bit like in the Schnee Oberholzer case. After the murders, you start throwing stuff away. So I think that's kind of what happened in this one. And there was also witnesses that saw her in the car with that individual, and the person had their arm around her. But you almost wonder if she wasn't even alive at that point, maybe. She could have been. Then she was driven up here, and her body was placed up in a field, completely nude, and she was strangled to death. Let's see. She hadn't been robbed, Thurman said. Her purse was still in the car, and her things were still in it. See? That's why those are always concerning bits of information. Right, but we're talking about this case, Tate. Did you see that? Cool. Authorities said it appeared Mrs. Woodson's car had been forced off the road because skid marks were found on the pavement in the area where the car was discovered. The car, which also contained the woman's shoes, keys, and some other personal effects in addition to her purse, was abandoned with the lights still on more than a mile south of where the body was found. Alright. So let's see how close this... Yeah, so somewhere around in there. I was thinking maybe in this area. I tried looking at it, but I couldn't find... There's this one image that I have right here. This lady doing a news broadcast here says the car was found right here. Now, I thought I saw an area that looked like this, but I couldn't find these power lines. So I guess what we could do is see if we can see the shadows of the power lines. Power lines are a lot of times easy to see. Looks like there's power lines right there. Yeah, I don't think that's the spot, though. Thanks, Claudia Neubauer. It's weird how people always show up and you're talking about a case and then they want you to look at their case, even though, like, how about have respect for the case that I'm covering? You know what I mean? Like, these people hardly have anybody talking about theirs, so could you just allow that to happen and then maybe send me an email on the case that you want me to look at? That'd be great. Yeah, so it looks like that's power line right there too. Yeah, it's hard to, it just really was hard to, for me to find it. I looked all around on this road. So somewhere in this area, originally I thought it may be right here. You know, gosh, maybe it's right there. Let me check this out. Hold on a second. No, that looks totally different. Yeah, that's not it. Mrs. Woodson had just finished her second night on the maintenance crew job when she disappeared. Officials said she had left the bank about 1 a.m. Thursday. A supervisor said she was alone when she left. Her husband, Orville S. Woodson, a truck driver, told authorities he saw his wife about 10 a.m. Wednesday when he went to work. Alright, here's a couple more articles here. The nude body of a 38-year-old Sperry mother of 3 who had been the object of a widespread search for 10 hours was found Thursday on a weed-covered hill. Is this the same article, just in a different format? Let me see. Where she sounded very similar. Yeah, it looks like the same one. Okay, hold on. Let me move on to the next day. There was one. Autopsy show the woman was strangled. The state medical examiner's office said Friday that Mrs. Veda Ellen Woodson, killed on her way home from work, died of strangulation. The autopsy had not been completed, however. The body of Mrs. Woodson, 38, was found Thursday about 10 hours after she disappeared while driving from her nighttime job at a Tulsa bank to her home at Sperry. A piece of cotton cloth, first thought to be a man's t-shirt, was tied around her neck. That's what they first thought it was, but it turns out it was like painter's cloth. Despite a continuous search for clues, officers had not arrested any suspects as of Friday. Mrs. Woodson had left her job at about 1 a.m. Thursday after a second night at work. Her car was found in North Tulsa less than an hour later. It was about 10 hours later that her body was found about a mile away in a section of the road. Yeah, then I found some like stories. This is let me turn this up here. Hold on a second.
My entire career here for the past 26 years. It happened back in 1973, and we've done several stories on it. Well, the Cold Case Task Force, working through the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office, is making great strides in this old case, including DNA evidence that has now tied them to a suspect. So let me tell you about the victim in this case. Her name was Veda Woodson, and in July 26th of 1973, she left her job in Tulsa, which she was with a janitorial crew working for a bank, and she was headed home to Turley. And back then, as you can imagine, it would have been dark, no development in that area. And they believe on her way home that she had car trouble. This is where they found her car on the highway. And of course, no cell phones were available back then, so really she was just a young woman who was a sitting duck. When they found her car, it was clear to them that really she was just...
Well, see, that's where her car was found, so it seems like it'd be easier to... I wonder if that location still... Like, that might be easier to see that.
A young woman who was a sitting duck. When they found her car, it was clear to them that someone had done a violent act, that her window was broken, and her body then was found not far away in a field, and she had been brutally raped and strangled. At the time, they did develop a suspect in this case, and his name was Stanley Claybaugh, and they did not have enough evidence at the time to tie him to the crime. This is another look at him here. Well, just recently, the Cold Case Task Force detectives got enough money to send off some DNA testing, and they got it back, and they say that evidence does link Mr. Claybaugh to the Veda Woodson murder. So they say that's not enough just yet to make an arrest, but they believe that he has told people in his inner circle, members of his family, exactly what happened out on that highway to Miss Veda Woodson, and they need those family members to come forward, but they say those family members are now protecting him. He is an older man now. He's 78 years old.
She's basically the Nate Eaton of these cases in this area. She's covered them all for years and years and years.
Old. He uses a walker, but they say there is no statute of limitations on a murder. And they believe that this family of Veda Woodson's and her, she needs justice as well as her family. And they say that it's high time for people who know what happened in this case to come forward. So if anybody out there has information and they want to come forward and give that information, the number to call is 918-596-5723. Detectives say they are very frustrated that those who know something are not coming forward, which of course we've seen in a lot of cold cases. But this Cold Case Task Force, you guys, as you know, is made up of retired investigators, including Sergeant Huff, who was a Tulsa homicide investigator for many years, ATF agents, DEA agents, FBI agents, all kinds of retired people who are super smart and really devoting a lot of time to looking at these.
See, what's weird about this case is it's still open, and it sounded like they've had this suspect, and they were able to match DNA on that cloth that was around her neck to this painter guy named, Claybaugh. They mentioned his name. And I don't know why there's no arrest being made at this point. I think now they need somebody to say something. Because what would explain the DNA on that cloth, though? And hopefully, didn't they gather and actually collect DNA from the rape itself? I know it was 1973, but that would lead right to him if you did the genealogy. Apparently they have a DNA profile, but I don't know. I don't know why the arrest isn't being made. It was October of 2018, where they literally. I mean, look at these headlines here. Watch this. finds DNA match in 45-year-old case. The Tulsa County Sheriff's Office Cold Case Task Force took a closer look at evidence from the July 26, 1973 murder of Veda Woodson and found a new connection. The 38-year-old mother of 4 was on her way home to Sperry after her janitorial shift at a Tulsa bank when her car broke down near East 88th Street North and North Cincinnati Avenue. Let's see where that is. Hold on. Thanks, Michelle, for both of those. Okay, East 88th Street. Let me see what that said again. East 88th North and Cincinnati Avenue. Okay. Ah, crap. Man. Okay. The heck? So is that what this is? And they're saying this is Cincinnati Avenue. So maybe up here? Okay, there it is. East 80. Okay, so right, should be right around in this area then. Let's see if we can. Oh, you know what? Look at that. Look at that little house in the background. Doesn't that look a lot like the one that was in that picture? Hold on. Hold on. Wouldn't that be cool? It looks a lot like that one. Look at that. I can kind of see that little house there and the one back there. Let's see. Come on, just be the right one. That'll be crazy. Come on. How am I doing this, by the way? How's that staying in the front? That's gotta be it. I mean, I know it's a little different. It's hard to see totally, but I mean, look at that. Is there another road just off to the left at any point? Let's see. I mean, this could be this driveway. Is there a driveway right there? Yeah, I bet you that road, that's this, I'm thinking. And this is about the address that they gave, too, so let me, I'm going to put that right here. Wow, so she made it that far, and then the person took her back this direction. That's interesting. I never went that far that direction. So she almost made it home, it looks like. Car broke down near East 88th Street North and North Cincinnati Avenue. East 88th Street North. See, that's weird. Like, what's that mean? There's no road or anything there, but I'm kind of assuming, since this is 85th, 86th right there, and what's this one? 96th. So that means it's north of, let's see, north of that road. So see, there is East 86th North, and then it's north about where, see, there's 91st, so it's in between here. That's got to be it, right? I mean, the odds of that not being it are really low, especially with that house that was, you can see right on the side there. Okay, so now we know where her car was. That sort of changes things a little bit. That means she made it quite a ways, almost made it back home, where her car broke down. Then an individual came up to the side of her car, bashed in her window, got in. Some witnesses saw another man in the car with his hand around her, and then she ends up being found here, and that means, so the car was there, and then he must have, and that's kind of confusing at this point, because how did the car get back there? Did he take her from that car and put him into his own vehicle? Well, obviously, because, well, there was no signs of struggle inside the vehicle. Not too far, because she only lives in this town of Sperry right here. So, you know, a mile, and then maybe that's confusing. Some of this stuff's confusing, because earlier it said the car was found a mile south of where her body was found. Let's see if we can get any more details here. Sperry Police found her vehicle abandoned with the driver's side door open and window of the door shattered. Woodson's body was found in a nearby field. Detectives say she had been brutally raped and strangled. Decades later, the Cold Case Task Force retested evidence from the original investigation. They found DNA evidence on an item, and that's the item that goes around the neck, that links Woodson's murder to a man whose name came up early in the investigation, 78-year-old Stanley Claybaugh. We know that Stanley Claybaugh shared details of the murder with people in his inner circle. These people are protecting him, and it's time for them to come forward. This case is 45 years old. Well, how come the DNA in that isn't enough right there? What would his DNA be on, and he's a painter, the Stanley guy, on a paint cloth that's wrapped around her neck? I guess you could claim, well, gosh, somebody stole his paint cloth and used it. And I guess you might need some other supporting information. It's too bad they didn't do a rape kit or something, because that would be no doubt. Like if you found semen inside of her that matched him. Okay, hold on a second. Now look at it. Sheriff's office says cold case cleared. Doesn't that make you think, oh, okay, well, it's solved then? Well, if it's cleared, then how come there's no arrest made? DNA evidence has cracked wide open a 45-year-old Tulsa County murder case. In the summer of 1973, Sperry's Veda Woodson was on her way home from work when the mother of four was abducted, raped, and strangled. Her car was found between Turley and Sperry. Her body was found not far away. So where's Turley? Okay. Turley, and there's the car. So that is between there, Turley and Sperry. So that's accurate. Tulsa County Homicide Detective Mike Huff says it's been a whodunit up until now. Forensics testing on one item produced DNA evidence that links Woodson's murder to 78-year-old Stanley Claybaugh. He was a person of interest in the case decades ago.
We begin tonight with progress on Tulsa's oldest cold case. Detectives testing new DNA picked up from where Veda Woodson was murdered back in 1973.
Channel 8's Amy Jensen met with the family about how they're coping and their hopes for the future.
Pictures, memories,
She made all of us an Easter dress one year.
and little notes.
Dear Marcia, when you get married and have twins, always come to my house for safety pins. Mother.
That's all Marcia Mongold really has left of her mother.
The phone rang and the bedroom light was still on. And we knew.
Mongold and her siblings were just children.
Like in school and stuff, that you'd always do like Mother's
Well, some people did them,
Day
James.
stuff. That was always kind of hard.
When their mom was murdered,
46 years that this happened.
July 26, 1973.
This day will not be forgotten.
Veda Woodson, but to her loved ones, Susie, was heading home from work.
She had car trouble and coasted down the hill.
Just 2 minutes from home, her
Yep.
1958
So I think we got
Chevy
it
Bel
right.
Air was found on the side of the road.
2 minutes from home.
Frame in the window over, so it'd take a lot of force to do that.
And then dumped her body in a wooded area, just a few miles away.
Right where a posted sign is.
A place that was once peaceful, now a 46-year-old nightmare for the family.
It seems like yesterday.
The day will always be hard.
Just that it hasn't been completely solved.
Whoever murdered their mother is still out there.
A lot of her brothers and family and friends have gone to their grave not knowing. Her daughter,
But they know it's coming.
he's lived a life that he took from my mom.
So they've lived their lives in honor of their mother
We'll never stop fighting for justice.
and will always cherish her memory. Amy Jensen, Tulsa's Channel 8.
Yeah, man. Let me see what the. And this is the same write-up in that Tulsa County Sheriff's Office on July 26, 1973. I thought if it was cleared, though, why do you guys still have it on your website? Because it's not. That's why. At 2 a.m., Woodson's vehicle, a 1958 Chevrolet, was found by Sperry Police at 8800 North Cincinnati with the lights on and the driver's door open. Okay, so now I really feel confident that we have the. That's where the car was. So man, what a nightmare. She almost made it home. And then probably the killer drove by. I bet you they even turned around at some point knowing that she was stranded. And then went and got into the vehicle and must have put her in his vehicle after he saw that no cars were around. You're talking 1 in the morning. And then her body was found right here. This is the address that I read about. And it's just sort of this dead end area somewhere out in this area. And they said it was near a pond too, and there's some ponds there. And there's another pond right there, so it could be that one. Absolutely crazy. That's why I cover these ones. You don't see these too much with guys. It just sucks. I know there are out there, and I do cover them, but yeah, there's a lot of reasons, Libby, that it was easier back then. A lot of reasons. A lot of them, though, are shitting their pants now because they realize that. Hey, thanks, Betty Miller. Wow, your name's almost as long as Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal. Betty Miller, a.k.a. Betty Rogers the Clueless. She's copying Crystal. Even with the a.k.a. in there. Come on. Yeah, we've had a bunch of those. Almost made it home. So, in short, she was at work as a janitorial service at a bank, First National Bank in Tulsa, till about 1 o'clock in the morning. She drove home. Her car had troubles and broke down on the side of the road. She was coasting. Apparently, they say, and then she pulled off to the side of the road here, and the window was broken. And we have an image of that right here. Thanks, Allison R. Wow, appreciate it. And so the window was absolutely shattered. If you can go watch the not Netflix, IDTV episodes on this. I'll show you guys in a little bit during the next story, because that's the story I was looking into. They referenced that, and then turns out they're part of the same series. I don't know if they canceled it or not, but you can see the windows just busted in right there. And apparently the man got in the car. Witnesses say his hands were around her shoulder, like looked like they were a couple almost. And she was just heading home. She lives right there in Sperry. But then later they find her body up in this area. And there was also clothing found here. So what that means is she was abducted here, murdered here, and the clothes dumped out here. And look how close that Stanley Claybaugh guy lives sort of in this area. At the time, he lived in this area. Right there. And that road's exactly how you would get to your house. See? So, pretty interesting case there. Hopefully, they might consider, I don't know how long something might stay in somebody, but if you exhumed her body, maybe you could find something. I doubt it, but that seems like a long time. Yeah, absolute monster. You got that. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the next one, the final one. It's longer, though. And I'm kind of surprised that this one hasn't been covered on, the myriad of YouTube channels. I guess it just didn't make the popularity angle. All right, so here, let's get started on this one. This one is Dina and Dean. There are videos out there, but they're almost all news clippings. Okay, so Dina and Dean. And
New at 5, a shock.
Hold on. I put the links in the description if you want to go watch those videos too. And so here's the quick write-up in this website here. Abduction occurred on June 6, 1998, 2800 block of South 49th West Avenue. At approximately 9 p.m. on June 6, 1998, 16-year-old Dina Dean left from work at the Marvin's food store. I think it was actually, it's a food store but had a video component to the store, and her friend worked at a video store. In the town West Shopping Center at 5616 West Kelly Drive. She was never heard from again. Dina's vehicle was discovered in the parking lot of the Marvin's food store on June 12, 1998. Dean's decomposed body was located in a field, so she was found just 6 days later. She was decomposed, and probably because of the time of the year, it's warm and sunny. Dean's decomposed body was located in a field near a pond approximately 2 miles north of town near 51st Street South and 49th West Avenue. The Tulsa medical examiner ruled the manner of death a homicide. Okay, so that's just sort of the generic information. There's just a ton here. So there's actually some articles when she was missing, which is weird because the same day these articles came out are the same days she was found. So this is June 12th, 1998. Hey, thanks Stella Hope and Wally Gator. Come on down. What's great about when they're missing, you get a lot more information because the family's telling you all the little details and everything that they want you to know. Okay, so here let's start on this one. A poster with a picture of 16-year-old hangs on the front entrance to the Arby's in Sapulpa. Let me show you. I have all these elements mapped out here. So this is the Arby's that she worked at right here. And Marvin's video store, or they call it grocery store, was right in this strip mall here. I wonder if it's still named that. Let's see. I didn't even check. Yeah, I mean, this looks sort of more recent. Although it was only 1990. It was 1998, this case. Okay. Yeah. So anyways, the address is this mall here. And a lot of those video stores and everything have completely gone out of business. I mean, are any of you going to the store to buy a VHS tape recently? Didn't think so. Huh? Yeah. Okay, well there you go. It's in there. Let me get back to the article here, though. Dina had been missing since... Okay, so Dina is employed by a nearby Arby's on West 49th Avenue, off of Interstate 44. Okay, so there's Interstate 44, there's 49th, so that's the Arby's. Dina has been missing since Saturday, June 6th. She was last seen at 10 p.m. by her friend Brandy McClellan at Marvin's Buy for Less Food Warehouse on West Skelly Drive, northeast of Sapula. Let's see. Yeah, well, they give an address and it goes to the strip mall. I don't know if it's changed. There's Skelly Drive, so there's Skelly Drive, so yeah, that makes sense. And it's nearby. Okay, West Skelly Drive, northeast of Scapula. This was not a typical Saturday night, said Larry Dean, Dina's father. She had just started working at Arby's, and she told them she could not work on Saturday nights because we got to go to Tulsa Speedway together as a family on that night. But she had to work anyways, but only until 8 p.m. We stopped by Arby's at 5 p.m. just to see her, and we told her to come to the racetrack when she was finished. But we said, page us when you're on the way because we knew about how long the drive would take her. Diana Dean, Dina's mother, that's what she said. And then Dina paged her mother at about 7:45. All right, so 15 minutes before getting off work, she paged her mother. When I called her back, she said she did not want to drive alone to the Tulsa Speedway, which is located on Highway 75. And that was going to Marvin's video store. That she was going to go to Marvin's video store. See how it's called video store? So it must be in the grocery store called Marvin's. There was also a video store where her friend Brandy worked at. You know, like the meat department, something like that, but it's the video department. Dina was going to give McClellan a ride home from work, Miss Dean said. McClellan's shift at Marvin's was over at 11. So there was like 3 hours of time that she would have to kill, I guess. Let's see. When I called her back, he said she did not want to drive alone to Tulsa Speedway, which is located on Highway 75, and that she was going to Marvin's video store to see Brandy. So basically she canceled going to the Speedway. Dina was going to give McClellan, Brandy, a ride home from Mrs. Dean's, ride from work. Man, they didn't put a comma in there. Ride from work. Okay, that's what Mrs. Dean said. McClellan's shift at Marvin's was over at 11 p.m. She was always good about coming in on time. So when we got home, there's a lot of information here. Around 11:35, she wasn't there. Okay, so they went to the Speedway and they got home at 11:35, and that's about the time Dina was supposed to be driving Brandy home. 30 minutes before that. Thank you, Claudia Neubauer. I paged her immediately. She did not answer the page. So at 11:35, when they got home, they paged their daughter. She did not answer her page, and she added the numbers 911 at the end, meaning to call home now. And she didn't answer. McClellan, Dina's best friend since kindergarten, found the Dean's car empty. So this is Brandy, and that's the best friend since kindergarten. Found Dean's car empty at around 11 p.m. in the parking lot at Marvin's. So it's just a little short distance there. She worked at Arby's, drove over here to around 8 something, and then when the friend said she left the store, she found Dina's car out there, but no Dina. Let's see. In the parking lot at Marvin's, but was apparently afraid and unsure what to do, according to Mrs. Dean. Mrs. Dean's close friend, Bernice Kent of Sapulpa, said she received a call from her sister-in-law, Shirley Kent, who had found McClellan crying at Marvin's. See, isn't that a little weird? That the friend would be crying? It's almost as if she knew something. Because I don't think he'd be crying. He'd be like, I don't know, maybe she got a ride with somebody else. Or, why would you be scared unless you witnessed something? Bernice then called Dina's mother around midnight, informing her that the family car Dina had been driving was found empty. Let's see. So the father left the house immediately after hearing that. Bernice Kent, husband, Bill, drove to meet Dina's father at Marvin's. Let's see. Mr. Dean found his daughter's wallet in the car, but neither her keys nor her pager was there. He said Mrs. Dean and Dina only carried a wallet, no purse. Mrs. Dean, informed of what Mr. Dean had found, called the Tulsa County Sheriff's Department. The FBI was called at 7 a.m. Sunday morning. And wow, so they got called really quick. Dina was wearing a maroon-colored Arby polo shirt, black jeans, and black tennis shoes on the night she disappeared. Mrs. Dean said. Dina was also wearing a silver pendant given to her by her parents on her birthday in February. Sweet 16. And she's only 16 years old. The manager at Arby's, where Dina worked on West 49th Avenue, Brian Dixon, confirmed that Dina worked under his supervision Saturday night, but referred the Herald to Arby's corporate office for any further comment. The Herald's call to that office was at press time, not returned. There were absolutely no signs of a struggle in the car, investigator Craig Bivens with Tulsa County Sheriff's Department said. We have spoken to friends, family, and acquaintances, but we don't have a whole lot of information. We have ruled out some reports of sightings and unfounded, that they're unfounded. Bivens said the FBI and the Sheriff's Department are running parallel investigations of Dina's disappearance, and the FBI... Let me make this bigger. Was called because they investigate all missing children reports, he said. The jurisdiction of the Sheriff's Department is that of an unincorporated territory or land that is not within any city limits, according to a spokeswoman for Tulsa County's Sheriff's Department. Town West Shopping Center is on the border of Creek and Tulsa counties, but is not within Tulsa or Sapulpa city limits. The FBI asked the Deans if they had been fighting with Dina, or if it was possible that Dina might be a runaway. We said, we did not have a fight with Dina, and she did not run away, Mrs. Dean said. I don't think she got in a stranger's car without a struggle. I hope whoever has her is not so cruel as to kill her. If they must use and abuse her, please let her come home. Hey, thanks, Lori Staggs. Mr. Dean has been wearing Dina's class ring since her disappearance. She didn't like to wear it to her job. It's so small, it will only fit on my little finger, he said. Dina likes to play the clarinet and is hoping for a band scholarship to Oklahoma State University. She plans to become an attorney. I mean, this is like a really bright student. A picture of Dina in her band uniform. I mean, most people that were in marching bands, you know, went on to do something good. They're same thing as people who play Dungeons and Dragons. You know, they either turn into a mass shooter or they're a doctor or a lawyer. Okay? But they're usually not dumb people. A picture of Dina in her band uniform hangs on the wall over the couch in the living room of the Dean's house. She will be a junior at Daniel Webster High School in Tulsa this fall. She is always on the honor roll and has gotten 4.0 grade point average for the last 2 blocks of school time. So, yeah, I mean, the family's out looking for her. Everybody's out looking for her. And let's see. Now we're going to move forward 2 days. No ID on body, inquiry ongoing. Investigators have not yet confirmed whether a female body found by a mounted sheriff's patrolman is that of 16-year-old Dina Ann Dean. Dina Dean, a Tulsa youth, has been missing since June 6th. The body, found at approximately 10:30 a.m. Friday, was located on the east side of the 3300 block of South 49 West Avenue. Yeah, so it's in this area right here. I think. Just a second, let me... What's going on with this? Yeah, so this is South 49th West Avenue. Okay, and then it said east side of the 3300 block of South 49th Avenue, not far from... Yeah, so that's right. That's the 3900 block. So she was found somewhere in this area. And, you know, we go back and Google her. This is 1995, so this is right around that time. It looked just like this. So not as quite as many. Let's see. Yeah, there's a lot more activity going on now. Not way more, but you can see that there's extra buildings and so forth in there. Man, it's so good to get back to the cold cases like this. This is the kind of stuff that I like to do. You know, sometimes it's like you get these ones in the media and they just turn out to be convoluted craziness. Like the Gia Fuda case. What in the hell's going on with that thing? Jesus. I think she intentionally left. There's no way anybody could get lost having a car out on the side of the road. It just doesn't make any sense. There would be no reason for her to leave the road and go into the woods. So I guess we'll find that out later. Well, for me, it's not baffling. I think it's just obvious that she just kind of took off. She did that intentionally for some unknown reason. All right, so anyways, let me get back to this. But a close friend of the Dean family, Bernice Kent of Sapulpa, said a deputy from the Tulsa County Sheriff's Department, also a Dean family friend, has told them the body found most likely is Dina. Kent said the deputy was asked if the class ring Dina had been wearing the night she disappeared was found. The deputy confirmed that the ring was found with the body. But I thought the dad had that ring, though. The ring is a class ring that belongs to Dina's friend, Brandy McClellan. Oh, I see. She put the ring on sometime Saturday night. Oh, that's weird. So she had her own ring that her dad was wearing. But she was wearing Brandy's ring. She put the ring on sometime Saturday night shortly before disappearing from the town West Shopping Center. The deputy told Larry and Diana Dean, Dina's parents, that the body was clothed and was wearing clothes that fit the description of what Dina was wearing the night she disappeared. Dina's dentist had been contacted by the Tulsa medical examiner to make a positive identification of the body. Friday morning, the sheriff's department began a second day of ground searches with between 40 and 50, searches on foot and horseback. The search and rescue dogs of Oklahoma also helped in the search, including one dog who searched the remains of the Alfred P. Murrah building in Oklahoma City after it was bombed in 1995. Okay, yeah, this is 1998. So that satellite image that I was looking at was actually 3 years prior to her going missing. Captain Dick Bishop of the Sheriff's Department would not confirm whether they were searching a specific area based on a tip, but Kent said the authorities had decided on 2 definite areas in which to search. The department is investigating this as if it's a homicide, Bishop said, although the medical examiner is not yet determined. A Sloan mortuary minivan carrying the body drove out of the search area, roped off by law enforcement at approximately 4 p.m. The body was found in what Captain Brian Edwards of Sheriff's Department described as open area covered with tall grass. This site has been used as a dumping ground by many people, though Bishop said it's actually private property. The department believes the body had been there for at least 5 days. Investigators probably will collect a lot of things that are trash and not connected to the crime scene, Bishop said, but they cannot afford to leave behind what might be important evidence. Investigators carried out several brown paper bags of would-be evidence on Friday afternoon. The Tulsa Salvation Army Disaster Unit was on the scene most of the day Friday and into the night to provide the investigators with food and drinks. Yeah, so anyways, they found her body, I think it was on the 12th, and they confirmed it was hers. And I do have an image from the newspaper of them out there looking around. You can see some crime scene tape right here. Tulsa County Sheriff's Department and the FBI begin a grid search of the crime scene where a body was found on Friday morning. Yeah, so that's them. Okay, now we're moving forward a couple weeks. This is, I think, the death announcement here. I'll just read up here. Our beloved angel, Dina Ann Dean of Tulsa, has gone to be with the Lord at the young age of 16. Dina was born February 26, 1982 in Tulsa and had lived in Tulsa all her life. She was a member of the Webster High School Marching Band and the National Honor Society and was on the honor roll at Webster High School, where she would have been a junior this fall. So, I mean, that makes it extra tragedy that she was, a really bright person. Sucks. Just a second. Okay, there we go. Yeah, it sucks. She was really... Sounds like she was going to be doing some things. Alright, so on July 2nd, there's this article. 2 investigators from Tulsa County Sheriff's Department, this is kind of interesting here, boarded a plane to San Diego, California on Wednesday to meet and talk with a friend of a possible suspect in the Dina Dean murder case. Captain Bill Bass and lead investigator Craig Bivens are making the trip because they believe the possible witness described as a young man may be more willing to provide vital information about the murder probe. They didn't want to interview him while he was still in Oklahoma. Police feel since he is away from his friends in the Tulsa area, he will be more comfortable discussing what he knows about the case. The witness is reportedly on a visit to San Diego area, police said. Investigators reportedly interviewed the same witness some weeks ago, but are hoping he can shed new light on the investigation. Dean, 16, of Tulsa, vanished June 6th around 10 p.m. So this is about an hour before Brandy would have got off work from the shopping center where she had been visiting a friend who works at Marvin's grocery store. The search for Dean became a murder investigation on June 12th after the discovery of Dean's body in a rural area east of Berry Hill. A command post set up from June 9th to the 21st by the Sheriff's Department at the Town West Shopping Center at 5616 Skelly Drive reportedly gave investigators over 100 new leads, but an arrest has not been made. Some people who had previously not spoken with the Sheriff's Department but were at the shopping center the night Dean disappeared came to the command post to talk to investigators. Bass called the operation productive. Okay, then about 3 weeks after that, almost 4, and that's the angle that the newspaper article was at. I'm not sure how they were able to make it so you could do a search on something that's at a 15-degree angle like that, but somehow those words were detectable. In the Dina Dean case, Tulsa County Sheriff's Department investigators conducted a search of 1994 green Ford Tempo and removed hair and dirt samples, among other items, which are being tested in the FBI laboratory in Washington, D.C. Dean disappeared June 6th from Town West Shopping Center. Let's see. The car investigators' search is believed to have been driven the night Dean's disappeared by a male teenager who is a suspect in the killing. They hope to find evidence that she was in the car at some point, sources close to the investigation say. The affidavit for a search warrant filed Tuesday at the courthouse revealed that Dean and the suspect are alleged to have had a sexual relationship, and she told him she was pregnant. Okay, so this is something I found out later, in watching the show on IDTV. I didn't get to see the episode it was in, but it was mentioned in the second one. So, and I think this is probably the answer in the case. She told a guy that she was with that she was pregnant, but she wasn't actually pregnant. She maybe, believe it or not, some people actually do that. They want to see how you react, or they try to keep you. Like if you were going to break up, you try to keep them by claiming that, right? That does happen. Yeah, it's not a good idea, but people actually do that. Polygraph tests the suspect took revealed that he was not being truthful about his knowledge of Dean's whereabouts, their alleged sexual relationship, and whether or not he saw her the night she vanished, according to the affidavit. Thompson said the sheriff's department is still not close to an arrest in the case. They are waiting for a cause and manner of death from the medical examiner and results of numerous lab tests on both Dean's body and the car allegedly driven by the suspect. Okay, so now I'm moving all the way to 2012, so this is like 14 years later. Wednesday, 3 Tulsa County investigators and the family of Dina Dean returned to the area where the 16-year-old disappeared 14 years ago. Now, apparently the mom goes back to the same spot and does like a barbecue every year to bring awareness to her child's case. 14 times, family and friends have marked the date of June 6th as their D-Day to keep the case alive. Investigators and the family equally believe persons that have knowledge about the crime still live in the area. That is why we are here. We need that one person with key information. She was abducted from the parking lot at 10:15 p.m. at night from Marvin's grocery store. She went to meet a boy. See, now there's more information. She went there to meet a boy and was never seen again. Okay, so isn't it just obvious? I mean, it sucks that, that you don't have the forensic information. The 2 persons of interest I have still live in the neighborhood, Dean said. The father strongly believes that circumstantial evidence points to his 2 persons of interest, but a lack of physical evidence. See, that's exactly what they're saying. Physical evidence has hindered the case. Both of the suspects each had their cars very thoroughly cleaned around the time she was missing. Doesn't that suck? The family indicated the last several markings of the anniversary of Dina's disappearance have taken place at her parents' home. The return to the area the family very strongly believes to be the scene of the crime was due, let's see, Dina's family gathering. Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm missing some wording. It doesn't seem to flow right over here. Yeah, so there was that article, and then 2 years later, right around the same time of year, June 8th. This one's really dark, hard to see. Yeah, they do the same thing every year. They've been doing this. Dina who worked at a fast food restaurant across the highway from the center, was supposed to meet a boyfriend in the parking lot that night. She had originally planned to go to the Tulsa Speedway to race with her father, who still races push trucks every weekend he can. Her and her mama talked, she said. I don't feel like coming out there tonight. I'm going home, Dean recalled. That was the last conversation Dina ever had with her parents. It's been a continuous fight ever since, trying to find out what happened to her. It's kind of hard to read this. It's so faint. Thank you, Zozo. It was a continuous fight ever since, trying to find out what happened to her. No arrests have been made in connection with the straight A Webster High School student's death, although Dean said authorities have identified 2 persons of interest. We believe the only thing standing in the way of solving the mystery behind the daughter's murder is the lack of physical evidence linking a specific subject. Dina's death was ruled a homicide by an undetermined cause, so there likely no murder weapon will ever be linked to the death or to the person who took her life. She was probably strangled. Yeah, so anyways, you got that. Alright, so then I also went out and put a bunch of these clips together of videos that are out there on the case. And so we'll just watch those. Okay, all the links to these videos are in the description, so you can go watch them yourself. Hey, congratulations, Val's Variety Venue. The 3 V's. What the hell are you doing here, by the way? No, I don't think those are related. But we're not talking about that case right now, though. Yeah, the 73 case was the case prior to this one. Yeah. Right. So here, let's play this. These clips right here. Here we go.
New at 5, a shocking turn in an unsolved murder case that's really haunted Green Country for 2 decades now. The Tulsa County Sheriff's Office expected to file criminal charges any day in the Dina case.
2 Works for You reporter Katie Wisely shows us new details in the case and how Dean's parents are doing 20 years to the day after her death.
20 years ago today, Dina vanished. Her body not found for 6 days. Now the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, she wasn't pregnant, Gene. We've already said that. It wasn't like you just figured that out. She said she was pregnant, and she wasn't. We said that.
This says they're closer than ever to file murder charges in a case that's made headlines for years.
Well, no, a fetus wouldn't have pointed to the perpetrator. It just means that she was pregnant by that person. They already know he was the guy that she said it to, and that he was the guy that, he met her that night. Okay? That's it. Are you talking to me, Libby? What are you talking about? Can you listen to what? Yeah, I'll play it when I feel like it, Libby. Okay? Like if I want to say something, I'm going to say something. All right? So if you don't like that, don't watch my channel, okay, Libby? All right? I'm just trying to play this right now. What an idiot. Jesus.
New at 5, a shocking turn in an unsolved murder case that's really haunted Green Country for 2 decades now. The Tulsa County Sheriff's Office expected to file criminal charges any day in the Dina case.
2 Works for You reporter Katie Wisely shows us new details in the case and how Dean's parents are doing 20 years to the day after her death.
20 years ago today, Dina vanished. Her body not found for 6 days. Now the Tulsa County Sheriff's Office says they're closer than ever to file murder charges in a case that's made headlines for years. A redhead with a smile that shines as bright as the sun.
The last thing she said before she hung up, "I love you, Mom."
Tears from the heart. This mother turns to faith for help on a walk of tragedy.
I do believe in God, and I do believe God will give us our answers.
Today, Dina would be 36. Her life cut short at age 16 when she told her boyfriend she was pregnant. It wasn't true, and she went to tell him days later at the Town West Shopping Center. Investigators say Dina's boyfriend worked at a grocery store there.
I knew she was going to go to that shopping center and talk to that boy. I had no idea that would be my last conversation with her.
Investigators found the teenager's body in a...
See, it's weird how there's always some extra information there. So I thought before, when she called home or when they talked, she just said, I'm going to go meet my friend, and she's going to go home or something. She didn't want to go to the car ride. Now, she somehow knows that she was going there to meet her, boyfriend or the guy she was having sex with.
Field along the route her boyfriend took to and from work, just a quarter of a mile from his house. Days earlier, the boyfriend failed multiple lie detector tests, claiming he knew nothing about Dean's disappearance.
I will be patient and let the task force do their job because we only get one shot at them.
Tulsa County Sheriff Vic Regalado created the cold case task force when he came into office 2 years ago. They've since served 10 warrants in 2 different states, some for phones and saliva of Dean's boyfriend,
Thanks,
father, and uncle. Charges expected at any moment. You said somebody. 1, 2, 3 people?
Oh, I won't comment on that one, but there'll be those that were involved will be brought to justice.
An angel whose spirit is deep within her parents' heart.
When she'd go to bed at night, she would holler, "Love you, Mom."
Dina's beauty lives in framed photos. Her smile, a hint at a happy life. Now, 2 decades later, her mother and father determined to connect the dots.
They haven't gotten away with it because I'm not going away. I will fight and I will get my answers.
The Cold Case Task Force says they hope to have a resolution by the end of the year. In West Tulsa, Katie Wisely, 2 Works for you.
Today is the 20th anniversary of the murder of 16-year-old Dina Dean.
No arrest has ever been made despite her parents' efforts to keep the case in the public eye.
News on 6 crime reporter Lori Fulbright has been on this case since day one and has the update new this evening.
Yeah, here's that lady again.
Every year for the past 20
She looks like she lifts weights or something.
years, I've been talking to Dina Dean's parents about her death and their need to get some answers in this case. Every year they hope it's the last. This year, they're more hopeful than ever that's the case. Dina Dean was a teenage girl who loved being in band and loved going to the car races with her family. But 20 years ago, friends say Dina decided to tell her boyfriend she was pregnant even though she wasn't. Not long after, she went missing. Then her body was recovered in a field days later.
I just want somebody held responsible for killing Dina.
Volunteers who make up the Cold Case Task Force say that boyfriend, his father, and his uncle are all persons of interest in this case.
See that? The boyfriend, his father, and the uncle. They probably, when they found out, when she threatened them that she was pregnant, they probably went, oh, we can't have her do that. We can't ever do that. And they believed it. So her threatening that she was pregnant probably cost her life, right? Because they just reacted to that. But they've gotten away with it because they all cleaned their vehicles right away. And I guess, don't you think that Brandy, the friend, knows a lot more than what she's saying? Wouldn't Brandy know for sure that she met up with the boyfriend in the parking lot? What other explanation would there be?
Case. The task force has served around 10 warrants in the past 6 months for telephones and DNA, and they're now hoping new technology can help them pull fingerprints from Dina's clothing. They say they are preparing to take their findings to prosecutors.
There's more than one person involved, and so we'll see where we can get to.
Dina's parents hold this vigil and cookout every year on June 6th to share memories of Dina's life and also try to generate tips in the case.
I'll either do it till I'm not breathing or until we get answers.
So if you have information, they have set up a tip line for the next 48 hours where you can call and talk directly to a cold case investigator. That number is 918-388-7686. On the scene on the story in Tulsa, Lori Fulbright, News on.
To friends. Dina and Brandy were best of friends, and Dina told Brandy all her secrets. Kim, have you pulled up all the most recent information on Brandy?
That's right. This was in the. Hold on.
Where she is. What I have right now. Does Brandy have a Facebook?
See, I totally agree with them.
Yeah, while she's pulling her up.
I'm pretty sure that's her. She sure looks like Dina. Remember how they looked a lot alike?
Yep. She is not on good standing with the Dean family now.
I wouldn't think that she was.
I didn't think she was being cooperative with them.
Yeah.
What you just saw is a clip from the all-new series Killer Unknown, featuring the Tulsa County.
I don't think they live with it every day. They're pumped about it. They don't give a shit. That's why they were willing to kill her and a child. They don't seem like they give a shit that they did it.
Case Task Force, and it airs on the Investigation Discovery.
Yeah, so right there. If you guys want to watch, I came across this as I was looking into it. But there's actually on IDTV a series called Killer Unknown. I don't know. I think it might have got canceled, but I think there's 5 or 6 episodes, and it covers the 2 cases, the last 2 that I covered. The first one has virtually no information on it.
Discovery Network. One of the cases they're working is the unsolved murder of Dina Dean back in 1998. And joining us this morning is investigator Mike Huff and Dina's mother, Diana Dean. Thanks to both of you for being here. You're coming in early. We sure appreciate it. Diana, what'd you think when a television show like this called and said that they want to cover Dina's murder?
I was shocked, but I was kind of happy because it gets out there that there's so many unsolved cases. And I think it's good for the other states to watch this and maybe try to get something like this going in their states.
Definitely. Helps others, right?
Yes.
And Mike, you retired. What are you doing?
I did. I stay real busy, but
Yeah.
the sheriff approached me about this, and it was something I couldn't turn down. So I've imposed on
He's
20
on
or so
the
of my
ID
friends
show.
to volunteer their time.
So you guys have put together this cold case task force.
We have.
And these are investigators, detectives that have worked all these cold cases, so you guys couldn't just walk away from them when you retired. Had to get back in and do this on your own time, really.
Right, and a lot of these guys are federal agents that didn't have any involvement with murder cases, but you know they
know
were
how to turn
investigators,
things-
how to gather the facts, and it's really been a great experience learning from them.
Yeah. So, what is the show? Tell me about it. Has the series concerning Dina that hasn't aired?
It started Saturday night, 2-hour premiere. There's 6 total episodes.
Oh, okay.
And you know, it's a rapidly evolving case. I mean, we just didn't participate in the show.
Yeah, I mean, they had the evil intent to kill. I know what you're saying, trace elements, but there's no way in hell they would ever get a conviction on anything like that. Like, oh wow, you thought she was pregnant, therefore, well, you know, it's like you know, I don't know. you can't get charged for that, but I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, they have the ill will in their hearts, just like somebody who literally did do that. Now, they did kill her thinking she was pregnant, so hopefully at one point they'll be able to make an arrest in that one.
I mean, we were out yesterday. We'll be out all day today, so it's still moving along.
They're still filming.
Well, the filming at this point is over, and I think you know, they're discussing. I think they have the rights for another year, and you know, we have 31 cases, so there's a lot of stuff to get to.
Okay, so Diana, how difficult has it been to reopen all this and turn it all over? Has it? I'm sure it has been.
It has been, but then I sit back and I look at the good that it might bring out on all of the cases. It was tough watching the show.
Yeah.
But I got
If
through.
they cancel it, maybe I'll get a hold of them.
Support there, so we managed it pretty good.
Yeah, good deal. And Mike, there's another case that Investigation Discovery is gonna cover, right? Tell me about that.
Well, that case is a 45-year-old case of a lady by the name of Veda Woodson.
Yeah, it was weird to have them mention both of the ones.
Got off work late one
found.
night and was driving back home to Sperry and had some car problems. And she was abducted, raped, murdered. We're on that case. And, you know, these cases have different challenges as they age. And so that's a difficult case, but we have made tremendous headway. And, you know, I've been talking to the DA about it and prosecutors. So we're feeling good about where we are right now. And I mean, the show really shows that from start to near finish.
Well, what is the show? How does it help you in your work? I mean, are you getting lots of leads?
Well, actually, you know, we have the same feeling as Dina is. We'd like for other parts of the country to see we're nothing special. You know, we're just doing this on our own time. So
not giving up, though.
Somebody like Vic is, you know, in different parts of the country. So we'd like to see that happen to other cases, but we're not giving up on these cases. I mean, we're here. It's not.
Hey, Libby, it might work better for you, but I'll play and do whatever I want. And why don't you go to a different channel? I'm not interested in having your feedback or comments about how I can do it. I can pause it whenever I feel like it and whenever I want to and make my comments because it's my show. And if you don't like the show, then just don't watch the damn thing. You sound like an absolute moron, Libby. Okay?
Like we are dependent on a paycheck. You know, it's more fun this way.
Yeah.
You know, and so we have a lot of people call in, support us, offer information, stuff that didn't come out 20 or 45 years ago. You wonder why.
Yeah.
But
it is odd how that works, isn't it?
You know, recollections and memories, you know, I wish I knew more about that, but,
yeah.
you know,
people change as to what they'll let loose of. And
relationships change.
Exactly. Well, we're crossing our fingers, Diana, for you and your family. We always keep you in our thoughts.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so the episode Killer Unknown started last Saturday. There are 6 episodes. It airs on Investigation Discovery Saturday at 9 p.m. And you can see the channel listings on your screen there. You can catch up on the first 2 episodes on demand. Mike Huff and Diana Dean, thanks so much for joining us today. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah.
New at 5, a shocking turn in an unsolved murder case.
I don't know if this is...
Years ago today, Dina...
Yeah, see, I remember, I think I already filmed this. Let's see. Did I already do that one? Let me just go to switch over to this one. There's one more.
It's 2 families who share the terrible
kind
bond
of blurry.
waiting
That's
on
what
a
it looks
loved
like.
one's murder to be solved meet for the first time.
Dina Dean's parents have been waiting 21 years for justice, and Susie Woodson's children 45 years for answers about her murder. News on 6 crime reporter Lori Fulbright has our top story only on 6.
These 2 families say they feel like family, not family by blood, but by a common bond, something no one else can understand except for someone who's been through it, losing a loved one and waiting years for justice. Both the Deans and the Woodsons have been looking forward to this meeting since both families were featured in a 6-part series called Killer Unknown that aired on the Investigation Discovery Network last year. That series featured the work being done by the Tulsa County Cold Case Task Force to solve both these cases.
We are their voice.
We are their voice.
Dina was 16 when she went missing after telling her boyfriend she was pregnant. Her body was found in a field. 6 days later, she had a broken jaw. Susie was a mother of 4 on her way home from work when she had car trouble and someone dragged her from her vehicle and raped and strangled her. Both families are desperate for arrests.
I do believe it will happen. It's just taken a little longer than I wanted it to.
It's a car wreck or something, you can accept that, but when someone murders someone else, there's no acceptance to that. That life should not have ended.
The details of their stories are unique, but similar in other ways. How the murderers have changed their lives forever. The anger, the memories missed. The 2 families shared their stories and talked about their grief, their emotions still raw after all these years.
You learn to deal with it, but
it's always there. Both these families still say they do have hope that arrests will be made in their cases, and they say if that doesn't happen, they do both believe that a higher power will someday mete out the justice that didn't happen here on Earth.
Yeah, that's what Trace Elements was just saying. Yeah, so that's, you know, those are the stories. Those are the 3 that I was going to cover. There's other ones out there. But those are the 3 I'm going to do tonight. You know, I kind of want to know how the meeting came about with her and her boyfriend. She probably had told him the day before or something like that, that she was pregnant. Did he... You know, it's weird because you have the thing about her going over to pick up her friend Brandy, but then somehow the boyfriend, maybe it was like during the time she was waiting for Brandy, she got a hold of him and said, hey, let's talk or something. And then he calls up his uncle and his dad and they put plans into action. Maybe that's what happened. Yeah, so remember, she works at Arby's here. She was going to get off work at 8. She was supposed to go to the racetrack with her parents because her dad races cars. But her work wouldn't let her, so she had to work till 8 that day. And then after that, she was going to go meet her friend right over here at Marvin's grocery store, but I guess the video department where her friend Brandy McClellan worked. And then during that time, because she got off at 11, and then apparently at 10:15 she was abducted from the parking lot by somebody. But she also met her boyfriend that night. They believe. And then she went missing on June 6th. And then her body, decomposed body, was found somewhere around in this area here. And then I think this is where her home is. was at the time. I looked it up. It's one of these homes right here in this area. One of these two. I think. I mean, that's the thing, is they put it in an article of something 100 block, and that's where I got it. And her body was found here, so I'm assuming that's where she lived. Well, let's see, where was that? It was in the in here.
New at 5, a shocking turn.
Not there. Hold on. Dina Dean. Okay. See, it said right here, occurred on June 6, 1998, 2800 block of South 49th Avenue. But that's not where she was abducted from. So I don't know if that's an error or what. I mean, apparently she was abducted from here, because that's where her car was. And I don't know if they're just saying that's where what her address is right there. I don't know. I do not know. But we're definitely behind now on the monthly end of the month drive for the donations. But I know it was always a kind of a lofty goal to hit the 20,000 for the year. But we're already got such a good number that, you know, I'll be happy if we hit 15. From Love County, Oklahoma. I can't remember her last name. Yeah, well, send me an email, okay? Thanks. We're talking about these tonight. What, the adult, 18 years old, and thank you, Katie 2. Huh? All my children? I don't get it. What will you do? Yeah, I kind of got my subscriber count sort of got frozen for a little bit. It's weird. YouTube does some weird shit to my account sometimes. Like one day it'll be no new, and all of a sudden, bang, they plop in a bunch from... Hello. What are you talking about, Trace Elements? Yeah, pretty thick right here. The address where her body was found was right here, but maybe, you know, maybe it's this field right here. They said she was found near a pond. Again, so maybe like maybe these were up higher, these weeds here. Thanks, Curious Georgia. I think the other side of the road. Yeah, well, it could be anywhere. It doesn't really matter. Really? What makes you think that, Melissa? Do you have a map of where she was found? I mean, it doesn't really matter. It's just in this area somewhere. There's no way of knowing exactly. Well, she wasn't supposed to be in at 10:15. That's not what was going on there. She was abducted at 10:15. She was supposed to pick up her friend at 11 and drive her home. What are you talking about, Trace Elements? Come on. People do that all the time. You're way overthinking that shit, really. Hey, thanks, Claudia Neubauer and Crystal Ann. Yeah, you're just way overthinking that shit. Like she got it from watching Days of Our Lives. I mean, give me a break. You know? It happens all the time. People... Yeah, there's nobody to blame. It's just something she decided to do. One day she just said, hey, I'm going to, I'm going to see what my boyfriend thinks. Who knows where the idea came from? It's been around for centuries, though. It's not something new. Hey, thanks, Wally Gator. Yeah, I mean, the thing is it's not really... The parents were going to go to the race. She was at work, and she couldn't go with them when they went, because his dad actually, she races. They probably... She was going to do what she's going to do, right? When you're 16, you're just going to... You're not going to... Even if they said, okay, we want you home by 11, or 9, right after work, she probably would have gone to the mall and met with her friends, and who knows. Thanks, Gloria Batari. Let's see. Yeah. But anyways, did you guys find those interesting, those stories? The first one had very little information on it. The first one was just... It was funny. In a weird way, it sounds very similar. The lady went to... What was her name? Let me get that name. Yeah, the Nola Baldwin. She goes to... Her home is right here. And then she went to a pizzeria that was just like right here. Very close to her house. And then never was seen alive again. Then it was determined to be a homicide, and her car was found in, I believe, this pond right here. She was inside, and it was a homicide. So that's a weird one. That one definitely needs more exposure. I mean, there's like zero information. The police must have more information. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to go lay down here in a minute, get some ice going. But I appreciate you guys all showing up tonight and keeping the momentum going. So hold on a second. Yeah, it just feels like I'm sort of in this holding pattern where it doesn't hurt as much, but it doesn't get any better with my numb fingers and shit. It just sucks. Okay, so thank you to Claudia Neubauer, Katie 2, Melissa Crone Carvel, Jessica Schubach, Rochelle Black, Michelle Niklas, Zozo, Claudia Neubauer, Michelle Nicholas again, Betty Miller, then Allison R., Stella Hope, Wally Gator, Claudia Neubauer, Lori Staggs, Miss Skis, Zozo, Nan Sullivan, Katie 2, Curious Georgia, Claudia Neubauer, Crystal Ann, Wally Gator, and Gloria Batari. Thank you. Oh, and then also a... looks like Trace Elements on PayPal there. Thank you very much. She told me she can't make the rap money. And also Doris Bradley on PayPal. Thank you very much. Yeah, it sounds like that you weren't able to do a rap to that beat. I like that new rap beat, though. It's a different type of thing, though. Maybe you can write a new one to that slowness. I know, you feel like you have to sing when you're doing that one. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, hey, thanks. Christina Kubacek. Sounds like a hockey name. Kubacek. Slap shot from the corner. Oh, he put the biscuit in the basket. Or I guess she put the biscuit. Let's see. All right. Best movie ever. Okay, everybody. Well, thank you guys very much for supporting the channel and hanging in there with me. It's been a little bit of a struggle for me, but appreciate you guys still showing up and slogging through the shows with me. All right. So thank you guys very much, and make sure that you're washing your hands. Let's see. Using the hand sanitizer, wearing your masks, maintaining social distancing, and just be safe. All right. Don't go into a building with a bunch of other people without a mask on. And if you can, see if you can get a N95 mask. That way you're protected, even when the idiots aren't wearing their masks. All right. Well, thank you guys very much. And as I always say, until next time, be safe out there. Oops. I'm still here. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, thug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector. Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gragel's gonna give another lecture. Crime collector, freak connector, and I'm always gonna be a pup protector. Fool deflector, interceptor, cannibal than a spectre with a vector on his pector. With all respect, ya, just remember I've a temple fucking check ya. I have no agenda, I'm no pretender, and I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender. Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. All right, everybody? Talk to you.
All right, hey, that was interesting. Looking at those old cold cases from Oklahoma, don't you think so, John Boy?
Wow, you sound like you were almost singing a song right there. That was weird. But, wow.
What do you mean? I was just excited about the show. Wow, you're always so mean.
Wow, you're gonna cry about that one? Wow, you're a baby. Okay, good night, Mary Lou.
Good night, John Boy, you're so mean.
Wow. I thought you guys were going to get out of that show tonight without so much bitching.
I know, but I just, he always is so mean to me.
Well, I didn't think he was that mean to you tonight, all right? So you guys have yourself a great evening, all right? And be safe out there.